The following announcement has been paid for by Wild Games Productions.
Okay.
Hi, this is Malcolm and
Karen
from House Atreides, and you're listening to Roll for Initiative.
My fellow Americans.
This is Max Headroom, and what you're about to witness is one of the most sinister-sounding intros to a trailer.
Little roller up along first, behind the bag, it gets through Buckner, here comes Knight, and the Mets win it!
This is the Roll for Initiative podcast, where 1E is the place to be.
This is the Roll for Initiative podcast, Volume 6, Issue 191. DM Vince sitting alongside DM Nick.
Hello, everybody.
And DM Crispy.
How's it going, guys? It's good to be here.
Yeah, good times.
Good times. We're all painting little happy trees. Well, wouldn't it be little happy dice?
Yes. No, I'm going to paint a little happy cobalt right over here. A little happy Tucker's cobalt.
I'm going to take your 2-inch brush and get some of your phthalo yellow on there. I want to use the edge of that brush because cobalt skin is nice and mottled.
We have to add some paintbrush sounds in the background. That's
gonna
good
mix
paintbrush.
some of this. Gonna mix some phthalo blue with some platinum white.
Well, anyway, enough of that.
Like
silver chain link.
Enough of that.
Sounds
back.
like you painted miniatures more than once in your life.
I've never painted miniatures, but I watch a lot of Bob Ross.
Wow, that's sad.
Yeah.
No, it's the best. Like, to just chill out. This is a family show. I can't say that. Never mind. Let's move on. What are we talking about today, guys?
Anyway, so we're back with a brand new show. We got some things coming up here. We would like to say hello, everybody, and goodbye. Show's over.
No.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. You pull a Glenn, right?
Shortest podcast ever.
No, we have just a reminder. Head over to iTunes if you want. Give us a review, and we'll help read it live on the air. RFIpodcast.com. Head over there, and you can leave us feedback. Send us an email at the contact rfistaff@gmail.com. Nick, you were talking about. I think we were talking about before the show a little bit about Origins. You were getting ready and set up for that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, actually, yeah. Origins coming up this year in June. Well, before that, also we got GaryCon. Hopefully, a lot of people are going to go to that, and I'd love to go to that someday. But yeah, Origins. I was really surprised that when I tried to get a room, it was a few months back when they sent the reminder out to everybody. I thought, okay, I got some time. A couple of days later, I tried to book a room. They were all sold out. So wow. I'm like, what the heck? What the deuce? So I went to hotels.com. I'm like, okay, I'll book a room there. It's going to cost me a little bit more and yada, yada, yada. Then my friend Jeff, he has another house in town here. He has a bed and breakfast. His older house. He's like, well, we get a bed and breakfast that might be close by. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Never thought of that. So he looked it up online, or Sherry did, one of our gaming group there, and found a place about a mile away, and a heck of a price. So our whole gaming group is going to go, and it's maybe a 20-minute walk from the convention center, or you can walk 5 minutes down the road to the free the shuttle bus that runs up and down Columbus downtown. So I'm like, hey, if you folks are looking for an alternative, you can't find a hotel room either at Origins or any convention, take the bed and breakfast angle, and you might be surprised. So
Not a bad idea. You
just kind of putting that out there.
get a room and you get breakfast. You're guaranteed. You don't have to worry about the vultures going and stealing everything from the buffet in the morning. You know, the free continental breakfast.
I mean, we
Also-
get a whole house.
Wow.
Yeah. Also, you're supporting a local business. Instead of
Exactly, you are.
And Crispy's all about local businesses.
I am. Buy American. and government
Yeah,
defense.
buy America. America. Yes.
And
Buy bonds,
and
win the war.
An American defense program, Crispy, did you say?
No, American defense bonds.
Oh, what?
Yes.
This isn't World War II. Stop it.
Buy bonds, win the war against the Hun.
Jeez.
Sorry.
No, I remember we
But
went.
yeah, bed breakfast is a great way to go.
Well, yeah, because Gen Con, when I went many years ago, I remember we stayed at I was telling you, Nick, the Comfort Inn Suites, which was like maybe a little bit of a mile outside of Gen Con. It was a good little walk, but it was nice. And they had their free, continental breakfast, but it was like the Grinch Christmas was there. Like, they took everything. Like, the crumbs were even taken off the buffet, and like the things that held it were gone. It was like the people just ate anything they could because it was free.
There's like some, fat beard dude sitting there and eating the napkins. Like, I got it all.
I'm not making
This is all I got left.
That's right.
I haven't bathed in 3 days. Wow.
Ugh, I can only imagine the smell at Gen Con is worse now. With I remember going there on a Tuesday and it was already stinking in the tunnels. I don't know how those tunnels.
I don't have
stink
to
so
worry
bad.
about that. I'm going to
Yeah.
be staying in a nice little house about a mile down the road.
Painting happy trees.
No, happy cobalts.
That's true.
Happy cobalts. Yes.
Well, I'm going to North Texas this year again to play some
Yes.
games, so that
Tell
should be
us
some
about
fun.
that.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. That's going to be fun. I'll be there on Wednesday this year. I'm actually going for the entire convention this time as opposed to just going for the weekend. Going to get there probably Wednesday morning, help Doug and Mike set up everything, get the tables organized, get things rolling, so they have no issues this year because, obviously we know what Doug's situation of him coming down with a little bit of an illness. He may not be at full strength at the time, so any hands can help. I mean, if you're going to be there and you want to volunteer, just hit up Doug or Mike and just let them know, hey, I'd like to help out.
He's down hit points. He needs a cleric.
Yeah. So just if you come for just to set up some tables or something or anything, they would really appreciate it. Breaking it down on Sunday, they're happy to help, happy to have people lending hands. I mean, they would appreciate it big time. So,
I've gotten the impression now that North Texas RPG Con is just growing more and more every year.
well, it is, but they limit the number of people allowed to attend.
Mm-hmm.
They like to keep it in. I believe they max it or they cap it at 500. So that's it.
Well, it's not too bad. It's just big enough, right?
Oh, well, that is a small con.
Well, compared to other ones, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, but 500 to 1,000, that's pretty good for a local convention. I mean,
Well, yeah, that's a ton of people, and I don't know, it's more intimate, but wow, I'm
Yeah.
surprised that how small that number is. I thought it would be bigger.
No,
Me
no,
too,
it's-
actually.
It's just they cap it. That's why it was actually capped at 350 for a while, and I think they moved to a newer hotel closer to the airport. I think the Westin they're in now. It is a larger space area, so they increased it to 500, or a little over 500 this year. So can't quote me on that number exactly, but it's around there.
okay. Still, it gets a lot of word around at least, on the internet. I mean,
Dude, there were
seems,
people
a
there.
lot of people know about it.
There were people there last year that came from over in Europe. So
Now that's impressive.
Wow.
yeah, they purposely flew in for their one convention, North Texas, and they were like, "We don't care about Gen Con. This is our convention." We're like, "Oh, that's awesome."
Yeah, that's cool.
Super.
Yeah, I don't think I've met anybody, as far as I recall, that's from someplace else outside of North America that's been to a convention. And if I did, I probably forgot about it because I sobered up the next day. And
Oh God, Nick.
don't you remember the dude you met from Australia? No, I don't, man.
Nick is busy hanging out in the ale house with the K&K people drinking different different IPAs they have.
Tasty.
Hanging out with Chainsaw, smoking cigars and drinking beers, right?
Yeah, I'll drink the beers. I don't smoke.
Oh, wow.
I smolder a little.
Yeah. What, Crispy?
There's a guy named Chainsaw.
Oh, no, that's his online name. His forum name.
I was hoping that's like what he goes by in real life, like he's a big biker dude.
No.
Yeah, that would be a biker dude named Chainsaw.
Yeah.
Go.
As far as I know, his name's not really Chainsaw, but who knows? So.
Oh, Chainsaw, if you're out there, you should really look into legally changing your name to Chainsaw.
Right.
Like the guy who legally changed his name to Ocho Cinco?
The Ocho.
Yeah. Chad Ocho Cinco.
Yes.
Yeah, that worked out well.
Anyway, so people have been asking. I re-released the Book of Sorrows podcast out there for people to listen to as I'm gearing up for more actual play podcasts coming your way very soon. So that should be fun, because I know people are like, oh my god, is this a continuation or is this the old thing? I'm like, no, just re-releasing the old stuff with a little bit more sound effects and fun. You get to hear Crispy having fun, destroying my universe and game in that podcast. So
that is so awesome.
Yeah, Crispy.
What the heck?
What?
What was that?
That was so awesome. That the coolest thing I ever heard. You re-released it.
There was like an echo effect on mine. I thought it was a sound effect that Vince put through a board.
No.
I didn't know that was Nick doing that.
No, that was just Nick. Nick, the many man of voices, so.
Because I'm that good.
Yeah.
I thought like Vince was using his radio training to bring in some sound bites.
Wow, I am that good.
No,
Thank you.
Sorry,
I'll take that as a compliment.
Anyway, yeah, you can go over to iTunes and look up the Evil DM Actual Play podcast, and you will find it in there. I'll be adding the Book of Sorrows, the Marvel one that we did, and I think we did one for 5e when it first was play testing. I'll throw up there as well before I kick off the new AD&D 1e Actual Play podcast with some featured guests from the past that you... Yeah, the featured guests, some voices you've heard in the past. No Crispy right now. We haven't paid him enough money yet. He hasn't come to negotiation yet.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, the one that you did for Marvel, was that... Did you use Marvel Advanced rules for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, if I remember, that was quite the epic campaign.
It was fun. It was funny because everybody made up their own characters, and Crispy shows up playing Spider-Man, so it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Oh, how original.
He's like,
Look, if you're going to give me the option to play Spider-Man, I'm going to play Spider-Man.
Well, so you give them the option either make your own character or some established Marvel character? Was
no,
that it?
It was... Okay, so what we did was like, okay, everybody, here's the rules. We're going to play Marvel. Go ahead and read it, and we'll meet up with characters. Crispy just was like, yeah, I'm going to play Spider-Man. So, and everyone's like, yeah, we made our own. He's like, oh, well, I'm still playing Spider-Man then.
There you go.
He was the only established Marvel character in there, so.
I think I was only there for an episode as well.
Yeah, I think...
But you know what? If you think about it, back in the day, I think they even still do this now. It seemed like Spider-Man got around a lot. He always made like a guest appearance in some new comic.
Well,
you know?
Yeah, there you go.
He's
kind of
like
the boost sales.
Third most popular comic book character of all time, and the first most popular Marvel character.
And that's why you played him, Crispy, right?
Yeah, I love Spider-Man.
It's fine with me.
Who doesn't?
Fine.
I had a thing that I was going to say, but I can't remember what it was now. And, oh well.
All right, so before we head into our segment, we'll be back after these messages.
So you like AD&D 2nd Edition but no podcast to listen to?
Guess what?
We got the cure right here.
I got a fever. And the only prescription is
The Thaco's Hammer Podcast.
You want me to put the hammer down?
Join DMs Glenn, Brian, Corey, and Full On Gamer as they discuss, debate, and review the world of 2nd Edition AD.
Yes.
So here...
Give me a gin.
Yeah, that's DM Corey ordering drinks.
Sorry, girlfriend's getting gin.
Rules, modules, supplements, clones, everything 2E is fair game.
Someone lied to you, and there's an opposed roll, and they won, so you believe the lie. I know, but I don't, because I, the player, know that they lied to me. But you, the character, have to act like you take the lie.
So listen into a podcast where number 2 is number 1. The Thakos Hammer Podcast, the best damn second edition AD&D podcast ever. You'll find it on iTunes or at thakoshammer.info.
Hey everybody, just wanted to make sure you know about our new sponsor, the Open Gaming Store, run by John Rice, the same guy who created D20PFSRD.com, and sales from the store support the Pathfinder SRD website, as well as his other SRD websites. For every $20 in your order, you get a free PDF from D20PFSRD.com publishing. And if you're a backer on John's Patreon at any level, you get 10% off all orders. So check out OpenGamingStore.com to support open gaming.
Yeah, I remember back in the day. A fella knew how to judge a fireball on the fly and how far the cleric could push the undead he turned. I tell ya, with all these min-maxers and munchkins, metagame and power game, there's something missing that I'm here to learn ya. Now sit down and crack your book while I commence to teach you some table manners.
All right, folks, for, I guess, popular demand to do this segment here for a review of a book that's been kind of left by the wayside by us. I think we've talked about it a little briefly here and there, and it can be a polarizing kind of sort of thing. Unearthed Arcana. So we're going to do a little review on a full review of Unearthed Arcana. And I guess like first thoughts and backgrounds of the book, at least I remember when this was released in 1985. And I do remember where I was when I bought it. Isn't that weird?
Wow. Yeah.
I was at a game convention back in Omaha, OmaCon, and I'm pretty sure I bought it at the convention because it was released. I believe it was released that summer. I could be wrong, but I remember getting my hands on it, and I liked it. At least at the time, I liked it. I mean, now that I delve into it a little bit more, I could see some of the things that some people don't like, but doesn't mean the thing's entirely useless.
No.
But at the time, I thought this was, oh yay, another hardbound book for AD&D. Wonderful, cool stuff, yay! And then I found out later on why they produced it, because they need to make money.
Yeah, fortunately.
I guess around this time, 84, 85, TSR was kind of strapped for cash, even though they had the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon show. They had all the merchandising for the show. But from what I remember reading a couple of books about this time, what's the one about Gary Gygax that came out? Empire of Imagination.
Empire of Imagination, yeah.
Yeah, is an excellent reference, by the way, for anybody who wants to get into that. And also Gaming at the World, I believe, is another good reference. But anyway, at this time, they kind of overextended themselves on the whole merchandising thing. Didn't they at one point have, like, TSR got into, like, needlepoint stuff and
coloring books
and wood etching?
Yes, they did. Yeah, they did.
And so, yeah, they kind of overextended themselves there outside of the hobby. I mean, I can understand staying within it and maybe some of the action figure stuff, but a lot of it, they kind of did a shotgun effect, and the returns were not so great. So I thought a good way to make hopefully a quick buck was to take a lot of the Sorcerer's Scroll articles out of Dragon Magazine and a few other things and make a compilation book, and that's what Unearthed Arcana became.
Was this around the same time that the Bloom Brothers started to bail on the company and sell it?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think that's around that time.
I'm pretty sure it is.
When they
around that time,
they went behind Gary's back and sold their shares, and that's how we got Lorraine.
And then and then a few years later, I think she came on 86, 87 or something like that.
Yeah, right around when the cartoon was in its full effect, and they sent him over to take care of the cartoon. They're like, go away and deal with the cartoon.
Yeah, he was in Hollywood. Then Lorraine took over.
And then we saw the implosion, I should say, the explosion and implosion of TSR by creating Buck Rogers nonstop.
Play the Star Wars Death Star music now.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Sorry. Anyway, so that was, from what I recall, and at least the history behind how this book came out. And at least I remember at the time, most people were excited about when this came out because more rules, more options. Because, you know, up until then, the most recent book, I believe, was Monster Manual 2.
Mhm.
And that came out 82 or 83. So,
and unless you had really cool parents and got the RPGA, and what was the name of the other magazine that came in the mail? Not the Dragon Mag, the other one that we... Crap.
Polyhedron?
Yes, Polyhedron. Unless you were cool enough to get those things in the mail, you never got anything new.
Right, exactly. I mean, other than that, you know, Dragon Magazine that a lot of people did get, or Polyhedron, because the only time you got Polyhedron is if you're an RPGA member, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I had that. I would loved it.
Outside of that, yeah, there wasn't any new material unless you were coming up with stuff on your own.
Which most people did, yeah.
Yes, which most people did, obviously. I mean, yeah, everybody house ruled the heck out of the game. It was kind of the standard, the norm. So, anyway, kind of going into the book itself. Oh, a little side note. I thought this was interesting. Have you noticed when they did the reprints, they did Monster Manual, DM's Guide, Player's Handbook, Unearthed Arcana, but no Fiend Folio.
Yeah, I was curious why they never did do a reprint of the Fiend Folio, because that was quite popular.
Or Monster Manual 2.
There are so many copies of the Fiend Folio out there that you can get them for dirt cheap in like near mint condition. So I think they were just like, yeah, we don't really need to print this one. It's pretty readily available.
But they never did Monster Manual 2 either. Which I thought was kind of odd. So
I would
have
liked to see them do Manual of the Planes as well, but
I guess those 4 books is what they considered core. So
yeah.
Anyway,
also, the Unearthed Arcana book marks the the beginning of the end of the spines for the books.
Yeah, you know, it was kind of you're kind of going it was kind of a watershed moment, I guess. If you think about it, this was kind of the peak. And after that, you know, I guess, you know, they jumped the shark. In this case, they jumped the land shark. And then you had the Dungeoneers and Wilderness Survival Guides, which were meh.
Most people consider...
And Manual of the Planes, too.
Do you think... I like Manual of the Planes.
Useful.
Do you think, in your mind, Nick, this Unearthed Arcana kicked off 1.5e?
If you want to call it that, after years of, you know, how they labeled things, I guess you could call it quote-unquote 1.5.
Yeah, because I'm one of those people in that boat that consider when this came out, it became 1.5. Like, this book, from my understanding, when I was a kid, this book was the most awesome book in the world, of course, because it had all this cool new stuff and like all this...
You're going like, oh, cool, yeah, it's so awesome.
By the way, that was Nick, not sound effects, Crispy.
Yeah, I get you. I'm on the up and up now.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And I remember this book was so awesome and everything, but now looking back at it now, or maybe in the past 10 years, I'm like, this is like house rules of Gary and like power gaming stuff to make people happy and things like that. And I'm reading stories behind how Gary just released it, like you said, for money, and it was just basically more rules to make more people happy.
Isn't he like on record as saying like, I didn't want to release this book, but people wouldn't shut up about it, so here it is?
Yeah.
Pretty much. The impression I got, it's not necessarily he wanted to do it. It was more of a necessity. He had to make some money for TSR, and they did for a brief while. This, from what I understand, this bailed TSR out from going bankrupt the first time.
Yeah, because didn't Zeb Cook actually write this book, and they just put Gary Gary Gygax's twin brother, Jerry Gygax.
His evil twin.
I didn't hear that, but maybe Nick, he's more of a historian. He might have heard something. I don't remember reading that at all and playing at the World, so. It could be wrong.
Not that I recall.
Yeah.
I think Zeb Cook. I didn't have to talk to him directly. I think he was more involved with when they had Manual of the Plains, maybe. I'd have to look into that.
Is Zeb Cook even quoted as an author in this book or a writer? I don't see him anywhere.
So.
I mean, they have
it's like Frank and Jeff Grubb and a couple people, Luke, and then Kim Mohan, who I've seen that name before.
Frank Metzer, Kim Mohan, Jeff Grubb, who belabored me for so many pages of questions and suggested qualifications. I'll never forgive him.
Kim Mohan was the, I believe at that point was the Dragon magazine editor or Dungeon magazine editor.
Yes, he was the editor-in-chief for Dragon.
Yeah, I've heard that name before, and Luke Gygax, Frank Metzer, Jeff Grubb, people who were
there we go.
Big in the old school. Does anyone who I've never heard the name Len Lakofka?
I have.
Oh, yeah, Len Lakofka, yes.
What did he do?
He not only helped with this book, but he did the Lendor Isle series of modules. That would be the Assassin's Knot, Secret of Bone Hill, and the Lost module that came out in the Silver Anniversary box set, Deep Dwarven Delve. And he's still fairly active. I know he's active out there on as far as doing stuff.
Len Lakofka, yeah. I remember Jason was always referring to him a lot in the beginning of this show.
Right, because he always made a lot of rules and mathy stuff, which I personally don't give a darn about. But hey, to each their own.
It is funny that Kim Mohan, speaking back with him, will not do any interviews for some reason. I don't know why. Kim
Mohan, and I think who also was editor, Roger Moore, not the actor, but the editor. Remember when Roger?
Absolutely not will give an interview. I've asked beyond contacts that know him, and he said, just leave me alone.
Oh, Kim Mohan?
No, Roger Moore.
Yeah, him too. Yeah, he totally dropped out of the whole industry. Something happened bad when he was editor of TSR Hobbies Dragon magazine, and since then, he just off the radar.
I tried to get him through Jeff Grubb, and we interviewed him a couple times because Jeff is good friends with him still. And he came back with, just don't even ask him again. He doesn't want to be bothered. Just leave it alone. I was like, okay, no problem. Respect.
Cool. Yeah. We'll just move on from there.
And Kim Mohan, when we asked him, I think Jason actually tried to get him at Gen Con one time. And he just said, no, I'm just here to do something and I'm done. And I don't think really saw much more of him. So,
yeah.
He might have been at that point working on something for, at that point, 4th edition, maybe? I'm not sure. Maybe Pathfinder? I'm not sure. I know he was doing something there.
Oh. Huh. Well, there's some of the history and I guess you could say some of the controversy behind this book, but ultimately it did give the TSR Hobbies that big jolt of cash that they needed.
Yeah.
So what were I guess you did say, Vince, what your impressions were like when we were kids. Yeah. You're thinking this is the coolest thing since sliced bread. So
yeah, it was. But this book, this book took the entire game and turned it upside down, in my opinion. New classes, they moved things around, rerouted things. They gave more rules on the original classes, more ways to roll up things. It was just now you have to relearn all this. Plus, a new stat.
Plus, you had a huge influx of drow characters for a while.
Well, first, let's put that aside. A new stat to the game.
Comeliness.
Well, comeliness, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
I hate comeliness. I think Nick and I have talked about this in the past because Nick's like, no, comeliness is cool. And I was like, no, this is stupid.
I don't see the need for the I don't understand why they came up with comeliness.
Because charisma is a measure of force of personality. It is not necessarily someone's physical looks. You could look at someone like John Malkovich, who is not classically handsome, but is magnanimous and magnetic on the screen.
You sound like John Malkovich.
Actually, sounds like the comic book guy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Worst stat ever.
Ever.
It is not the worst supplement ever.
Did you? All right. So did you, Nick, back then when this book come out, use Comeliness, try it, or you were just meh with it?
I think we did. Yeah, I think I did. Might have.
I'm wondering if was Comeliness included in the RPGA, or did they not bother with it? I don't remember at the time, to be honest.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't think it was one of those things that added in.
The only reason
alive.
Yeah, Crispy wasn't alive.
I gotta tell you, I think the only reason why they added the comeliness stat is because that stat is part of what makes Cavaliers, if I recall. That's a key stat for them, I think.
I think it is actually, yeah. And it's actually, excuse me, Nick, but it's pronounced Chevalier.
What? Chivalry, you mean?
Chevalier.
Yeah, Chevalier. That's
then they pronounced it incorrectly on the cartoon show. Then is that what you're saying?
Well, the French origin of Cavalier is.
Oh
Chevalier.
yes, the one that retreats, the Chevalier, the French Cavalier. And his battle standard is a white flag. Anyway,
it's like a horse on
I
it.
don't know. I don't know. Comeliness, I think we did use it for a while, but it kind of died out. I mean, yeah, charisma pretty much covered it all. Then you have all the different character races.
Well,
I was looking through this earlier this morning, just kind of refreshing, because it's been a while since I've read Unearthed Arcana, and all of the elf sub-races they're so stupid. I'm sorry, Gary. Like, I love you, but half of the elf subspecies in this book are like, they don't interact with anyone who's not an elf very much. It's like, okay, well, why are they adventurers then? Like, come on.
Because they're part of the elven douchebag clan. That's why.
Yeah. There you go.
Does that answer your question?
If you remember, if you looked at the character class limitations for the races, one of the things that stuck out to me when I first got this, like, oh, well, there's dark elves. Dark elves, drow? You can play a drow? Ooh, that'll be fun. Yes, Spike of all the moody, emo drow characters that were out there.
Well, like, reading through the Drow's entry, it sort of sets up the Drist problem, because it's like, if you're playing a Drow player character, you're a renegade from your clan and homeland. And it's like, yeah, okay, that's Drist. That's where he got it.
Second. Yeah, hold on a second. Dark elf character class. Oh, they could play rangers. How interesting.
Happy little tree.
Can I get 2 scimitars and
now, Nick.
I have this joke that I do among my friends. I don't know if you've ever heard Bob Salvatore talk, but he sounds like Bostonian Ray Romano.
Yes,
he just has that Ray Romano voice.
He sounds like this, yeah.
Yeah. He's, I was looking here and I saw that I could be a dark elf, so, I was thinking his name's Drist Dordan of the Halfnuff Schaffnuff Thogna Friendlies and Menzel Berenzan. Deborah. Ma.
Robert now, too?
Robert.
Okay, now we got the Ray Romano out of the way.
Yeah.
No, the rest of the show is going to be done like this.
No, Crispy, I'll disconnect you.
Yeah, people are going to vomit.
Yeah, really. We got this book also introduced a lot of sub races as Crispy just spoke about. Which
we had the dark elves and they had what was it? Deep gnomes,
surface gnomes,
and the Dwergar as well.
Yeah.
Yes. And the deep gnomes, I believe I pronounced this right. Nerf Neblin. Nerf Neblin?
Yeah. It's Swerve Neflin. Yeah, that classic Missy Elliott. That classic Missy Elliott lyric.
Yes. Deep gnomes, also known as Nerf Neblin. Sounds like you're clearing your nose. Nerf Neblin.
A good gag for future shows is anytime we talk about Swerve Neflin, you just take another word that was said earlier in the podcast and reverse the audio and put that as a placeholder.
Oh, jeez.
There you go. But for deep gnomes, this is where I guess I could go with Vince. There's a bit of a power creep here because their ability to, summon earth elementals once a day.
Yeah.
Well,
and like a really big earth elemental.
Yeah, roll 1, would you get a 24 hit dice earth elemental? It's like, what?
Yeah. Or you could get a Zorn.
Is that like a Xylon? Or oh, never mind.
Oh, Zorn, you...
Sorry.
You know, the one that's from the elemental plane of Earth that likes to eat all the rocks and and minerals and whatnot.
Oh, is that the one that Tim Allen had to fight in Galaxy? Never mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, dear. Yes, that.
The Garfalac or whatever?
They look like little children.
Yes.
Another thing that kind of blew my mind away when I saw this is the Cavalier being its own class, not subclass anymore.
And taking
that was weird. I'd never noticed that before. And it's like, so the Paladin isn't a subclass of fighter anymore. Now it's a subclass of this new thing.
Cavalier. Yeah.
No idea why they did that, but hey, whatever.
Now, if you want to talk power creep, though, if you read under the Paladin in Unearthed Arcana, the powers, abilities, and level advancement of the Paladin described in Player's Handbook remain unchanged. In addition, the Paladin gains the abilities and powers of the Cavalier class, including weapons of choice, parrying ability, horsemanship, saving throw bonuses, and immunity to fear. Yeah.
And those have stuck historically with the Paladin as, like, the Paladin steez. Like, 5th edition at 4th level, you get a magic horse.
Right.
Pretty sure in 3rd edition it was the same as well.
Yeah, it was. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I remember when people talk about this book in our community, and they say, "Well, God, that Cavalier class is so overpowered." Dude, look what happened to the Paladin. That's Cavalier Plus.
I was just gonna say Cavalier Plus.
I mean,
were you?
It has everything the Paladin could do: lay on hands, ability to turn undead, later on, blah blah blah, spill ability. Now you got the thing of weapon of choice and charging in the combat on your steed, getting those bonuses.
Wait, the Cavalier can also
the Paladin
turn undead?
No, Cavalier cannot turn undead.
Okay. I was like, I didn't remember reading that, but why? That's magical stuff.
No, Paladin.
No, but the Paladin can take its stats and do the percentile like the Cavalier now, and increase them that way every level, which is a bit ridiculous.
Right.
But
it has all the abilities of a Cavalier. So you just turn the Paladin into the tank.
To a Mega Cavalier.
Yes. Mega Cavalier. Which then you get your other cool things, if you can find them, either full plate or field plate, but that's later on in the book. So there was a thing about the druids that they added extra levels, which I don't think anybody got high enough level to even care about. I did like what they did to the fighter, though, with the weapon specialization. That made the fighter something you would want to play once in a while, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, is this the first appearance of weapon specialization?
Yes, it is, as far as I recall.
Well, you were able to do weapon specialization in the core book. It was just slightly different, that's all.
Yeah, they expanded it out a little more and basically gave a special ability to the vanilla fighter, and he's not so vanilla anymore. He's more, Neapolitan?
No. Then
you had the barbarian.
I think that the unearthed barbarian. God damn it!
Take 3.
I'm sorry. I think that the unearthed Arcana barbarian. There we go. That's the words that I want to say. Is the best version of the barbarian in all of D&D history.
You think so? Really?
Yeah,
Really?
I think it's the closest emulation of Conan that I've ever seen, with like the climb speed. That's always bugged me about barbarians. It's now they're just the dude who gets real mad.
Yeah.
They weren't really Conan-y, and this is Conan the Barbarian.
Right.
They were like that. What was that 2nd edition class? Was it the Berserker or
the Berserker?
Yeah.
I remember that was actually an NPC class in 1st edition.
Yeah.
My love for you is like a truck.
Okay, moving on.
Have you never seen Clerks?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
The opinions expressed by Crispy are not those of
what
the...
he's talking about.
Anyway, so Barbarian.
I just love under Barbarian level title. Barbarian. Level 2, Barbarian. Level 3, Barbarian.
Yeah, I don't get why they did that.
I don't know either. Could they just like drawn a line or just said Ibid? See above. But yeah, Barbarian, very nasty class in here. One of the things I did kind of like in here is still for the Barbarian, there's a couple of or 3 paragraphs that makes a tie to World of Greyhawk campaign setting, and say if you got barbarians from this area or for this area, this is what they're kind of like. So it kind of gave you an idea if you're going to play a barbarian, what you might want to go with if you use World of Greyhawk or if your own campaign setting, how you might want to tweak them out to be more specific to regions.
Magic.
So I thought that was kind of cool. So yeah, the barbarian, it was pretty cool because it had 12 hit dice for hit points.
Yeah, the Cavalier originally had that, which they was a mistake, which they moved down to.
Yeah,
10.
it was supposed to be what, 10?
Yeah, they fixed it with some
yeah,
errata.
I think and they fixed it in the book. There is an errata.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they also did some stuff for the the Ranger for tracking. They added that.
Well, it made some good improvements, I think, to help the DM flesh out how to do it better.
Now, this did not make sense to me when it came to the Ranger. If you look under giant class opponents, Cobalt, really?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one either.
Tasseloy? Zvarts? Are those?
Bless you, Nick.
Bless you.
Oh. Yeah, I had a little... Yeah. Sorry, I Zvarted.
Oh!
But I'm only... Goblins are not giant class creatures. I'm sorry.
I think this was before they had come up with the term humanoid, maybe?
No.
No, that was around.
Used it because it's right there under the table.
Huh.
Humanoid / in quotes, giant class opponent.
Oh, yeah, there it is. It's right. If it was a snake, it would have bit me.
Yeah.
I guess monstrous humanoid is what they meant. I'm not sure what's going on with this, but...
A kobold is not a monstrous humanoid.
I wouldn't even...
He's like a 3.5 foot... He's a 3.5 foot tall critter who's really annoying.
Children are humans too, Nick. You should know that. You're a father.
Oh my gosh. We're talking about kobolds here.
Anyway, moving on.
Thief Acrobat, no one cared about.
Well, they did that obviously because of the cartoon, for one.
They had to have.
And Thief Acrobat.
No, she was just Acrobat.
But she was a thief acrobat.
Yes.
Well, she was a thief acrobat, but there was a thief and also the acrobat.
Oh, well, yeah.
This was one of the classes that was just a pain in the butt to qualify for.
It's so stupid, too. Why would I could be like a cool dude who shoots like arcane energy and fireballs and eventually can make my own plane of existence. Or, I can be really good at tight ropes.
And juggle.
Oh, definitely will help me survive a pit trap in a dungeon. My ability to juggle.
Well, one of the things that I don't think a lot of people played the Thief Acrobat because once you split off, become a Thief Acrobat, you can no longer gain percentile points for pickpockets, open locks, read magic, find traps, or remove traps. You've just became very useless.
I don't think anyone played the Thief Acrobat.
If
you play the Thief Acrobat, send me an email at criticalwits@gmail.com.
Yes.
We do not condone that email address. No, I'm just kidding.
You know what's going to happen? You're going to get an email and they're going to have someone saying, hey, you know what? My most successful character was a 22nd level Thief Acrobat. And he was amazing.
I think I've had one person out of all the years of me playing, and that's like 30-something years playing, that wanted to be I'm turning it to Crispy here. A Thief Acrobat. And that was in the last 2 years, Nick.
Really?
Yeah, he was in my recent gaming group here when we were playing at the Reaper store. he wanted to become a thief acrobat. When he hit the appropriate level, he was gearing for it. I'm like, okay, sure thing.
I don't know. I'm looking at the thief acrobat's abilities, and I don't know, guys. Like, here's a cool thing: jumping. You just get so good at jumping.
That actually can be useful. That could actually be useful. Okay?
Crispy. God. Moving on.
Money. That's the next segment.
Yeah, pretty much. They talk about starting money for Cavaliers.
But you had to roll social class for a Cavalier to see where you landed as a Cavalier, which was weird.
That's right.
Because we didn't mention, but obviously if you have the book, you know, but if you listening to this and not knowing what the Unearthed Arcana is, you have a chance to start at negative experience points, or level 0 pretty much.
Right.
Or
basically a page or a squire.
Or -1 level, if you think about it. I mean, not that it's possible, but if you look at it, it's 00. Essentially, it's -1 level.
I don't think I had anybody actually use those negative experience point levels.
When I played, there was a guy named Dan who was DMing. He made me roll on the chart to figure out where it was, and I started as a Lancer, which was...
That's just cruel.
Yeah, and he put me at -400 experience points. I was like, Jay, but it's 501, but I'm glad he gave me a little extra.
And was it 1d4 plus 2d4 plus 1 hit points? Ooh. You're almost as useless as a first level magic user.
He's like, it'll be good for you when you get to be first level when everyone else is second level. You have more hit points than the rest of the party. I'm like, and?
Yay.
If I live.
If I live, yes. You have a lance and padded armor. Go. No.
Well,
Speaking of armor,
you had to have a sponsor to be that low level too. So I had to have an NPC Cavalier running around telling me what to do.
Well, right. I mean, if you're going with a kind of a medieval aspect of the game, you're either, you're basically a page or a squire to a full-fledged knight. So that's what was going on there.
I could see this working out if your DM is good and you can trust him in like the creative process, but I could see a lot of angry 12-year-olds in 1986 who swore off this book.
You're like, I don't want to play a squire. It sucks.
Yeah, my DM Dan was a little nerdy, and his last name was actually Dragon, which was kind of funny. Yeah, his Dragon. He loved playing Dungeons and Dragons, and I wouldn't say he was the best DM in the world, but he was kind of a dick. We'll put it that way.
Okay, well, to put it bluntly,
he was cool.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah, like a lot of a lot of 14-year-olds with low self-esteem trying to get a power trip off of being the mentor knight.
Yeah. That never happened.
Oh, it definitely, absolutely happened.
Moving along, Nick, you were talking about the armor. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's like kind of going back to the Cavalier or the Paladin being a tank or any other fighter class. You had the introduction of field plate and full plate armor. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I guess as a DM, I think, great. Now I got players running around who think they are tanks.
Did Field Plate ever make it into the later editions? I'm not even sure.
Yes.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think
second edition.
Second edition. Yeah, and the arms and equipment guide.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
He also had the introduction of bronze plate mail.
Yeah, that's a little weird to me. Like, I guess Bronze Age armor, sure.
Yeah. If you were gonna go with a Bronze Age kind of
Roman Empire
for your campaign, yeah, that would probably be your top type of armor that you would have for people. I could see that for a kind of a Conan the Barbarian Hyboria type campaign.
Yeah, I was just thinking about Adventurer, Conqueror, King.
Yeah, I would think if you were going to use something like that, I think bronze plate mail would be your kind of your armor cap.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would kind of make sense. A very low and kind of dark age medieval kind of feel. What else then besides armor? He had the introduction of the buckler too, the buckler shield, which was for your thieves, because the thief could use a buckler.
Mm-hmm.
So, which was And in fact, I think that was kind of cool. Do I remember a lot of people who played Thieves use the buckler?
No.
Not really.
I think I've done it. Had a buckler with a thief.
Have you? Have you? Have you?
I have. I've also I've played a ranger who had a buckler because in later editions you can have a buckler just strapped to your arm all the time and still use a bow.
Right.
And then after the armors, you've got Gary's love of weird niche medieval weapons.
Well, the pole arms are always there, but all the Adelaide.
I see. I was going to say Atlatl.
Atlatl, that's right.
Then you got the Drow hand crossbow.
Oh yeah, a lot of Drow player characters running around with those.
Yeah, and then you've got your Middle Eastern Iron Age weapons like the Kopish and the Falchion.
Well, now the Falchion, historically, was a nasty sword.
Yeah, no, it's a good sword. You know?
Oh my gosh.
The Chinese war sword is basically a falchion.
Well, a lot late medieval period, a lot of knights used the falchion because it was a heavy chopper.
Yeah.
I mean, versus like your regular arming sword, a falchion. If you saw a picture of one, the end of the blade is thicker and it's very heavy. So it's like a machete on steroids, essentially. So that was a heck of a weapon to use on the battlefield, particularly on horse. You're coming at a charge with a falchion, you're chopping probably even through plate.
Magic spells.
Okay.
And then there's the garrote. You know, when you want to choke a dude.
Yes.
Cantrips. Yay.
Cantrips. Never used them.
Cantrips and later, what is it, Orisons they called them?
Orisons, I've always said, but I don't know if that's correct.
Yeah, I don't think I ever used the cantrips. I mean, I read through them, and
I never saw a point to them.
B, that's useful.
I guess if you want to... I want to make someone giggle.
Yes.
I guess it's useful in battle.
Dampen. There's a cantrip called Dampen.
Well, maybe you want someone to appear that they wet their pants.
Now, this kind of goes into a house rule thing. I remember people house ruling. They're like, I don't want to take up spell slots for cantrips when cantrips aren't exactly the most powerful thing. I think a lot. I know some people, myself included, said whatever your intelligence score is, you can have half as many of those as cantrips without taking up spell slots or something of that fact. So, like if you had a 16, you get 8 free cantrips that you can have. So, I don't know.
I could see curdle being pretty useful.
Curdle.
You've got a bugbear drinking some milk. You curdle it.
Turn it into sour cream.
Oh yeah, just totally mess up his entire day.
Yeah.
Awesome. He's gonna be in the bathroom all day.
Let's talk about some real spells though. Some that kind of popped out at you as being great additions, I guess.
Evard's Black Tentacles.
I liked, at least for the cleric, because that's like one of my favorite character classes, a Wyvern Watch. I thought was a really cool addition. So
notice they don't update clerics by saying they can use edged weapons in this book.
Yes, I noticed that. Fine. Whatever. I don't like you anymore.
This has been like a 6-year argument.
Yes, it has.
Yes, it has.
It started on episode 5 when Nick joined us.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, for the druid, I like this one, Flame Blade. That's actually a pretty cool spell.
Is that considered a cantrip according to it's in italics?
No, Flame Blade?
No, it's just described in this book.
Oh, I see what you're saying now.
I'm saying it's a new spell.
Got it, yeah.
Goodberry comes from this book for druids?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. Because I'd only ever skimmed Unearthed Arcana for the time that I had a physical copy of the book. And a few years ago, I had actually sat down and read to it because I was like, why do people like this book? it's stupid. It's got comeliness, blah. And then I read the spell section. I was like, oh no, there's like a lot of really good stuff in here that became staples for D&D Magic for the later editions.
Exactly. Like here's the one, Flaming Sphere for a magic user. That one became a staple.
Yeah, spike growth.
Melts Acid Arrow. Lovely spell. That I like that spell. I mean, that's the spell it goes off and it continues doing damage.
Mordecai's Magnificent Mansion.
There you go.
Yeah.
What's another one that was actually pretty good? At least I thought. Good for players, not so good for being a DM. Stone Skin. How many of you have buffed your magic users? I'm going to cast 10 out Stone Skins before we go into the dungeon on myself.
Okay. Okay, great. You can't walk anymore. You're so weighed down.
Oh, Tasha's uncontrollable hideous laughter is in this spell, or is in this book. That's a great one.
Yeah.
Chain Lightning is a good one.
As I said previously, Evard's Black Tentacles, which is one of my favorites.
Hey. Family podcast.
No, it's you summon Cthulhu tentacles from the depths of heck.
So this is Legend. It becomes Legend of the Overfiend.
Oh God, no! Don't go there, please. No.
Yeah, you get those tentacles from beyond.
Here's another spell, very high level, 9th level magic user spell here. That I remember this was introduced in, I think, Vault of the Drow, or it might have been Vault of the Drow, or Descent in the Depths of the Earth. Crystal Brittle. That's a nasty spell. You can cast it on any metal, anything from soft as gold to hard as adamantite, and it'll turn into a crystalline substance, and you just smack it, it breaks apart. Nasty spell. Cast that on a magic sword. See what happens.
Yeah, I think this book is worth it for just the spells alone. Even if you don't use any of the updated class stuff, I think there's some really good magic stuff in here.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Well, another one that became a staple for, it first started off for being an illusionist, but I think magic users also could use it too, was the Chromatic Orb spell.
Mm-hmm.
That one became quite popular later on.
Okay.
So, and depending on which, if you got the reprint,
I have the original.
On page 72, there is an appendices for, there's appendix, 6? There was a corrections. There were some corrections that had to be made on the character race table, something on the thieves, armor effects for thieves, and the thief acrobat. And I do remember this came out later, originally in Dragon Magazine, this errata. So, but they did put it in the middle here.
Yeah, right before the DM section, which is kind of...
Right before the DM section, where I think becomes very, very useful, this book. Though, I think there was one thing that you brought up, Vince, before the show, the character creation method 5 that they introduced. I think I kind of get an idea why you want to talk about that one.
Oh.
Yeah.
I hate this.
Every time I play 1E with like new people that haven't played in like 10, 15, 20 years, the first thing they say is, are we using Unearthed Arcana? And I'll be like, well, it depends. Why? Oh, can we use the dice rolling method from there? No. Because they're referencing this method. This is like the Munchkin method. They also got to
keep in mind it's only for humans.
Yeah, but they want to use it because apparently a lot of DMs said, well, we're just going to use it for any class now.
Oh, and not just for any race. I mean
any race. I'm sorry. My geek voice was off.
You should.
Yeah, I think it does say though it's only for
create human player characters.
Only for human player characters.
But apparently a lot of DMs were just like, well, we'll just use it for any race now because it's a rolling method and it's my game, so let's break the entire game now.
Yeah, pretty much. So
Other than allowing the Dark Elf Cavalier.
Yeah. Of course, with the 2 scimitars.
You know, I was just, it was 2 weeks ago, I was in my gaming group. They were playing 5e. I finally convinced them to play 1e, which we just played this past weekend. And one of the girls in the group was trying to debate on what she was going to play. And this one dude who played D&D probably like how we played it, Nick, the first thing came out of his mouth was, I hope you're using Unearthed Arcana and play a Drow Cavalier and see if he'll allow you to use rolling method 5. I was like, give me a break. No.
Well, first I would say, yes, you could play a Drow Cavalier. No, you cannot use method 5.
Yeah, and his statement was like, oh yeah, that just so broke the game. And why are you suggesting it to a new person to the edition?
It's like you're rubbing salt in the wound now, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, also, did like all the other human characters get to use method 5? Because then it's like, oh, this person is way more powerful, and there's favoritism, and also it's bad. It's a bad method.
Well, this had to be determined at the beginning of the campaign, I'm assuming.
Right, and it was for use this method so people would have basically a incentive to play human.
Because there was no incentive to play a human.
Yeah, there really wasn't. Besides, they could be in limited all classes.
Even though this was a human-centric world campaign that Gary made up, but he never gave humans.
Now there is something that kind of gets overlooked in this in Unearthed Arcana, which I thought was kind of interesting.
What's that?
Is about magic user and illusionist spell books.
Oh, the traveling spell book?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was always a house rule.
Cool.
That was always a house rule that we played with before this book even came out.
What page is that on?
Page 79 it starts.
Okay. All right, I'm there.
This came up with a lot of the rules on having spell books later on in the game, particularly like if you're going to cast directly from a spell book, that spell is permanently lost.
That was also house rules that we played with too, so that's why a lot of people thought these were all house rules.
Right. There was some confusion saying, is this official or is this house ruling? Well, yes, and you can house rule, that's official, but you can officially rule it's a house rule. Exactly. But I thought that was kind of this is a cool section about spell books and what would be there as when starting out as a magic user or illusionist, what are your spells in your spell book when you first get them? Has one offensive, one defensive, one miscellaneous spell.
Well, they did that in the DMG guide, Dungeon Master's guide. They said you have to have these following things. The DM should pick them out, and if you really want to be nice, you can allow the player to get with the DM and determine them. So
they also expanded it for the illusionist too.
Yeah. Well, I guess it was kind of said that it would be the illusionist the same way.
Yeah.
I guess people needed it written out for them.
Yes, some did. What else? This also introduced the stuff about social rank and circumstances of birth.
Yeah.
Like you were alluding to, Vince.
Well, you had to roll on here. You had to roll on the social class and rank to see where your cavalier landed.
Right, but this could have been used by any race or class.
And I believe if you read the Cavalier, it says at a certain level it's cut off. So if you roll too low of a social class, you can't even be a Cavalier.
Be a Cavalier. Yeah. That's right.
I think you had to land in somewhere like middle class somewhere. Like, I think it was upper middle class, I believe.
I think, the minimum cutoff was upper middle class for a Cavalier.
And you were still starting at -1 level.
Right.
I would never use that. I would never use that table. It would fall by the wayside, like to hit versus specific armor class, and also modifiers for height versus your opponent.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think the only reason why I could see someone using the social class stuff in circumstances of birth is if they're really going to get into a urban campaign that deals with a lot with the nobility. And those sorts of things can come into play. There's going to be a lot of role playing involved with that. If a campaign's set up like that, I could definitely see a use for those sorts of things. So, But if you're just, you're just talking like, your standard dungeon crawl, wilderness adventuring campaign, not a whole lot of that would probably be useful.
No.
So then when we come to the part of the book which I like the most is
tables.
The magic items.
Nick loves tables.
Tables.
No, I love tables too. I love randomness and rolling, and that's why I included all that stuff in Mazes and Perils, because I love tables. So.
Mm-hmm. And this is why this is my favorite portion of the book is all the new magic items that were added. Starting with the potions, you had a lot of elixirs and oils that were added.
Yeah.
Like the oil of impact, and the oil of sharpness, which actually are very useful.
Mm-hmm.
Potion of fiery breath, which is actually kind of cool.
Oh yeah, you pay 1 in a red, it gives you +1/+0 until end of turn.
Yeah.
Got a good explanation of all these new items too.
Oil of fumbling, yeah, there's a good one. So those are some of the magic potions I thought. Now some of the protection scrolls I thought were just kind of really, really specialized. Like protection from plants.
Well,
protection from gas.
Maybe you had a big dinner and you need some gas protection.
Yeah, that's called gas X.
Yeah.
You need some Beano. Here, read this scroll. This will help you out. Okay.
Just pop it.
Protection from plants.
Well,
the one chance out of 1,000,000 that you're going to run into a shambling mound.
There's
also some.
You are set.
There were some deadly plants.
Completely set.
There were some deadly plants.
There's also some really, really powerful protection scrolls, like protection from weapons non-magic.
Hey, Nick, this would come in handy in that forest oracle adventure, remember?
That's true.
With all those weird plants.
All those weird plants, absolutely.
There you go.
Oh, that module.
I love that there's a ring that is a joy buzzer.
Yeah.
The Ring of Shocking Grass.
Ring of Shocking Grass. The Ring of the Ram. That's a good one that was added. What's another one? No. When you get to the rods, I like the Rod of Flailing. That's an awesome weapon.
Just sounds weird.
No, it's really cool.
No, it just sounds weird. That's all.
Yeah, because you're picturing a dude flailing his arms around.
Yes, yeah. Stop it!
I mean, I love this magic item because later on, I had a cleric character that had this magic item, and it's an awesome weapon for a cleric because you essentially get 2 attacks around.
Is this pre or post Rod of Lordly Might?
Post Rod of Lordly Might. But if you read the Rod of Flailing, basically it forms a double-headed flail, and you have the option of having both. If I'm looking at this right, it's a +3 for hitting and damage, and better still, even when each of the weapons' 2 heads is checked for when the possessor attacks, so double hits can be scored either on a single opponent or 2 opponents who are man size or smaller. So basically you're getting double damage each time, but you can also basically split up the attacks between 2 different opponents, which is kind of cool.
You know what? Jumping ahead, the appendices.
Mm-hmm.
We finally get some clarification on weaponless combat that's makes your eyes cross, but at least you can get some better understanding of how it works.
On what?
Weaponless combat, starting on page 106.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I don't quite remember that.
Yeah. This is something a lot of people forgot about because weaponless combat kind of just made you want to vomit everywhere by trying to do it. But
yeah, I forgot about this part.
And if we also get some really solid rules in Appendix R with non-lethal combat, finally.
Like using the flat of your blade.
Things like that, yeah. Works. Disarming, vanquishing, things like that. Just a little more, you can use non-lethal combat against the dragon. Well, how?
Yeah.
You just do it.
How do you subdue the dragon?
Boom. Subdual damage right here. Boom. Vanquishing. Boom. Disarming. All right here.
Now
on
we
page
have
109.
some explanations.
Yeah, other than, you hit and you pull back just a little bit. That doesn't make any sense.
What else?
Gods.
Magic items. There's the Staff of Thunder and Lightning, which is pretty cool. But my favorite one has to be the Wand of Force. That's a lightsaber, everybody, if you haven't figured it out.
Yes.
If you read this description of this thing, if you have, it's a tri-function device. The Wand of Force enables the wielder cause a shaft of nearly invisible blue-white energy spring forth from the tip. That's a lightsaber. This shaft of energy extends 4 feet and is equal to a +5 bastard sword. And secondly, a Wand of Force can be employed to create a Wall of Force, duplicating the 5th level magic user spell. And thirdly, the Wand of Force can be employed to create a nearly invisible plane of energy which performs as it had been created by the caster of Big B's Forceful Hand spell. So basically, force push. It makes your character into a Jedi. This is what that magic item does.
Yeah. Basically.
It is.
Look at here.
You put a force shield around yourself, you can force push people, and you have a lightsaber. Yeah.
Looking through here on Appendix S, all of the non-human deities.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Stats for all of them as well. So if you ever want to punch God.
I think this is actually my favorite part of the book was all the new magic items that were added. This was my favorite part. I'm like, we can always use more magic items out there. What's another one that was added that actually became, I guess you'd call it a staple? Where is it? Darn it. Where is it?
What are you looking for exactly?
I'm trying to...
Wow, we can't spend all the time looking for this, so let's just move
Yeah,
forward.
anyway. And then there was all the different swords and what was it? The anything magic items? Like sword, magical, anything.
Yeah.
Like, oh, great. Then you talked about like the weaponless combat and then
subdual and non-lethal.
Subdual, and then all the like non-human deities.
Yeah, we finally get a couple of those, which, helpful for people that just want their own deities for their character. I mean, their race.
Yep.
And after that, there's a whole appendix about pole arms.
Hey. You laugh at that, my friend.
There's like size comparison charts. Oh, man.
Hey, you need it.
Yeah. For a history geek like me, I love this section.
Appendix T for the nerd in you.
That's right. That's me. Appendix T for totally cool.
The Axe family.
I think the polearm appendix might be longer than the non-human deity appendix.
It is.
Well, Gary had his love of medieval polearms, and he did not want to let it go. And plus, they had to fill in space in the book.
And that ends the book because we get some credits in the back that are like a quarter of the page.
Yeah.
Cracks me up. Credits. Boom. Afterward. Boom. This little paragraph. That's it. If you have any questions, please write to Arcana Questions, care of TSR Incorporated, P.O. Box 756, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, 53147.
I'm guessing if you write to that now, it's not going to be TSR.
No, it'll be returned to sender.
Yes.
Leave us alone.
Leave us alone. I get all these all the time. Who is this TSR person?
So I guess that kind of leaves us at, why do you think people liked it or hated it? Maybe we already covered that. I'm not sure, but
I mean, okay, I guess to kick it off, I got mixed feelings about it. I mean, there are some things where you can understand, yes, people hate it, but it's not entirely useless. I like the section about the magic items and the new spells. I thought that was very useful. Some other things I think you got to be a little careful of. They tend, like I think Vince saying, they put it into a power gaming creep that came up in the future. So
it was.
I think I mostly used it for spells and magic items, primarily.
Funny, I gave the option to everybody to play character classes from this book when I started the 1E game, and not one person picked it or used any of the adjustments. They all went with the core, so I was so happy. Mm-hmm. I could leave it home.
Yeah, because it could be a kind of a pain. You got it like you think, and the power creep with the character classes and some of the races can get out of control.
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as a resource for like new stuff, like magic items and the spells, there's nothing there not to like.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good in this book. There's a lot of I've never used this in this book. I don't know if there's anything really bad in it. I think at worst it just gets, this is ignorable. I don't know if there's anything heinous about it.
I think it's obvious to people when you look through this in the context of the time. Yeah, this was kind of just slapped together. Come on, there was an errata that came out in Dragon magazine not too long after the thing was published. So this was the quick money maker for TSR at the time, and understandably so. It was either that or they would have been in deep financial trouble earlier than they wanted. So, so you take it for what it's worth. To me, I don't get a lot of the negativity towards the book in its entirety. Well, it was just made for money, and then he had that stupid Cavalier class, and then the Paladin became uber powerful, and blah, 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 blah. Well, and I always say, well, what about this? Okay, well, that was pretty good. What about the new magic items? Oh, those were kind of cool, too. Aha! So there.
Yeah, like I said, this is, I think, the best version of the Barbarian. Out of any edition of D&D. And yeah, all the comeliness is dumb, but all the spells are really cool.
Yeah. I thought the Barbarian, which I didn't like, was like he wanted to break every magic item he came across and wanted to kill the wizard.
Magic user. Nick.
Like a barbarian.
Wizard. Yes, like a barbarian.
Like Conan.
I don't understand it. I must kill it or break it.
Magic bad.
Even though I have clerics and they use our...
That's God-inherited powers. Shut up.
Yeah.
Yes. Fine.
So...
Are we gonna do dragons or swords? How do we rate things on this show?
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know.
We swords?
So we do swords, so...
all right.
Out of 5. Go ahead, Crispy, since you brought it up. You start it.
I'd say 3.5.
Crispy with a solid 3.5. Nick, over to you, sir.
I give it 4 swords.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Crispy on a 3.5. Has a lot of useful information in there. Do I really like using it? No, not at all.
So it's like more 3 3/4 swords.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
And if Matt was here, Matt would probably give it a 4.
Yeah.
I could see Matt's kind of a 4 guy, so.
Yeah, he's kind of a 4 guy.
Yeah.
He can't truly commit to a 5.
No. And he doesn't want to give it too low of a rating, so he's, people hate him, so. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, Matt's our politically correct guy on the podcast.
No. Yeah, because we have to give him grief because he's not here.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course.
Matt is busy trying to rescue his his wife's car at the moment, so.
Yes.
Apparently, the entire engine block fell out or something. He was saying.
No, the tailpipe.
Oh, it was a tailpipe. Yeah, something fell out of the car.
Yeah,
the whole engine block.
What was it being held on with? Zip ties and
yeah,
just baling wire. And force of will alone.
Some gum was in there, I think. I don't know.
I got to tell you, this book, I do remember getting this thing, and later on, all the influx of drow player characters that came along, and barbarians, and yeah, everybody went crazy with all that for a little bit, and it kind of simmered down.
New stuff.
Yeah, everybody wanted to try it out, and
Yeah.
understandably so.
Cool. And then they're like, "Oh, this isn't that great. I'm just gonna be a fighter and like a regular elf."
Well, like fads, soon they die out.
Yes, and they died.
Like a pet rock.
Anyway, send us your comments, your questions, your complaints to Critical Wits at... No, I'm kidding.
I think you mean Thakos Hammer's podcast.
Yes, that's it. Yes, yeah.
No. rfistaff@gmail.com. Hit us up on Facebook, facebook.com/RFI. Check us out on Twitter, at RFI Podcast. You can follow me, the Evil DM, at Twitter as well. You can follow Crispy on Twitter, I think. Right, Crispy? Yeah. At Critical Wits, right?
At Critical Wits _PC.
Oh. There's another...
For podcast.
Oh,
there's another Critical Wits. It was already taken.
I see. Okay. And I think you could find us on Facebook. Well, not Crispy. He's not on Facebook anymore, I believe.
That's true.
You can find us on G+ as well if you want to. We're on there sometimes. We have a community there.
You might find us under your porch. You never know.
Nick is under your porch sweeping right now.
Catch me outside. How about that?
Slap.
There you go.
How about that? Slap. Anyway, keep it original, keep it old school, and good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Later, everybody.
The Roll for Initiative podcast is a production of Wild Games Productions. You can visit us at rfipodcast.com or contact us on our forums at osrgaming.org or even call us at 570-865-4210. This podcast was produced for entertainment purposes only. All other uses are prohibited. Remember, if your magic missile spell doesn't automatically hit, you're playing the wrong edition. Thanks for listening, and see you next time on Roll for Initiative.